been listening here on the Senate floor as senators continue to put their votes into motion right now. I am still joined by my colleague Andrew Kraft, who has been following this and other Senate confirmations that have been happening on the floor. Andrew, you got some news here from within the floor.
Yeah, so Mike, I had just said all eyes will be on McConnell. So McConnell just voted yes on the Patel confirmation. Now, there were two Republican no's, Lisa Murkowski of Alaska and Susan Collins of Maine here. And we saw Murkowski and Collins also vote no against the Hegseth confirmation. And that was somewhat to be expected. Collins had told us before the vote took place that she would be voting no. So I was just kind of bringing up, Mike, some of the blowback or supposed blowback that some of these Republican senators might face when they're up for re-election. Like I said, Collins will be up for re-election in 2026. It remains to be seen if there will be any electoral consequences, whether or not some in the Republican Party might support a primary effort, say, against her. And that was also somewhat of the concern with former Senate Minority and Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, that he was really drawing the ire of some of these Republican senators in his own conference that he led for about 20 years, saying that McConnell was not getting on board, that McConnell had always preached a sense of unity within the conference itself, and yet during some of these confirmation votes, he was bucking the trend. He voted against RFK Jr., he voted against Tulsi Gabbard, and he voted against Pete Hegseth, though in this case, he just voted for Kash Patel. So I think that is just some of the electoral considerations at play, which I think are really interesting. But let's get back to Patel himself. How might he lead the FBI? And like we were reporting, and I don't think this is news to many watching, that Kash Patel is a deep, deep critic of the institution and of the Bureau itself. President Trump is deeply distrustful of the FBI and deeply distrustful of the Bureau itself. And presumably, maybe that is why they came together, why Trump tapped Kash Patel to lead the FBI going forward. And he is now going to be Senate confirmed to do just that. You see the vote tally there, 51 yeas, 49 nays. So a very close vote along partisan lines with some Republicans' defections, yes. But now Patel will be tasked with leading an agency he has been deeply critical of, especially when it comes to not only the raid at Mar-a-Lago that the FBI conducted against President Trump's residence there in South Florida in August of 2022, but also some of the Jack Smith prosecutions, like the classified documents probe and like the January 6th probe. Kash Patel was deeply critical of those. Obviously, those are no longer operative now that President Trump is President Trump. And so there were reports in the early days last month, once Trump was sworn in, of mass resignations, of a deep purge there at the FBI for anyone at the FBI who worked on those two subsequent probes brought by Jack Smith. So we'll have to see how Kash Patel handles that, how he goes about, in his words, reforming the agency within. I don't have to tell viewers, of course, how deeply involved the FBI was as well in the Russian collusion probe that was spearheaded by the special counsel Robert Mueller for more than 2 years. And so that is where all of that bad blood that Trump feels about the FBI, that is where it stems from. And so Kash Patel had a lot of acolytes, a lot of supporters and allies within the president's inner circle, J.D. Vance as well, also Donald Trump Jr., but also Chuck Grassley, Mike, who has been a key proponent of trying to expose some of this alleged corruption and political taint within the FBI. Of course, Chuck Grassley is the oldest member right now in the Senate. He's 91 years old, and he was, I believe, chairman and ranking member of the Senate Judiciary Committee, which that is where Patel had to come before to have this confirmation hearing. And Grassley has been a key ally and proponent of his, ever since he was tapped by President Trump. This was an unusual and peculiar pick to those looking outside in, but for those in Trump's orbit and Trump's world, this made a lot of sense. And now it just remains to be seen when he will be sworn in and what he will do and what his message will be to the thousands of employees at the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Of course, Mike, this is a 10-year term, so it doesn't just last one presidential administration. It could last 2 or 2.5. And so Patel, if everything goes right and well, will be there for a decade.
Yeah, that's a great point there. And I think a lot of people wondering too, Andrew, obviously Kash Patel, huge supporter of President Trump. How is that really separation now going to take place? Will it take place where now Kash Patel, once he is sworn in, will have a whole bureau to run and really, of course, you're the public face of the FBI. How do you have that separation of saying, okay, I am a supporter, but I will not go all down the line for everything that President Trump would want? How does one do that? And could it be done for Kash Patel?
Well, I mean, that's going to be the question at hand. I mean, that was what stemmed from so much of the criticism coming from Democratic senators that Kash Patel would essentially just be a mouthpiece and a steward to affect President Trump's retribution or revenge on those at the FBI for what he perceived they did to him as candidate Trump as well in 2022, 2023, and the like. And so that is really a question that hits the nail on the head. How independent will Kash Patel be from the executive branch, from the Trump administration? This was also a question as well when Matt Gaetz was tapped as Attorney General. We all know how that went. It's also still a question, though, for the Department of Justice, now Attorney General Pam Bondi. How separate can they keep the function of their office without, say, weaponizing the Justice Department or weaponizing the FBI? That is a critical concern of many of these Senate Democrats who on a party line vote, I believe almost all of them voted against Kash Patel. And so it just remains to be seen. Obviously, we've been following everything that's been happening, Mike, in the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Southern District of New York with Mayor Eric Adams pending dismissal of his indictment. He appeared before a federal judge just yesterday. And that was somewhat of an example of some of the alleged political interference coming from the now new Trump DOJ into some of these U.S. attorneys' offices, trickling down nationwide. And so it remains to be seen how independent Kash Patel is going to want to be in a position and in a post that is largely kept independent from the executive branch. Now, there are some Trump supporters and Trump allies alike who don't agree with that assessment, who say the FBI director is under the executive branch, the attorney general is under the executive branch, and they work for the president. Yet some of the critics of that assertion would be, well, the attorney general is not the president's lawyer, personal lawyer, and the FBI director is not, say, the president's personal security detail, bodyguard, policeman, so to speak.
Yeah, all great points there, Andrew. And I think before we wrap up here, I think it needs to be also talked about and said that this second term for President Trump and his administration feels a lot different than it did the first time around. It seems this time he's getting sweeping executive orders. And the first go around, it seemed like there was a lot of blockades in the way for President Trump in the forms of Russian interference theories and others that really came to the administration hand and foot really now, but now much different. How's that to say the rest of the way is going to go here for the administration now that it looks like everybody that President Trump has picked is getting Senate confirmed?
Well, yeah, we're just 30 days into this. I've been calling it Trump 2.0. And I think some of the supporting evidence to your point, Mike, is that next week, next Wednesday, Fox Business correspondent Edward Lawrence reported that President Trump is going to be holding his first cabinet meeting. And so that just goes to show you the rapidity with which these individuals were picked by the transition and confirmed in, yes, a Republican-led Senate. So if you're confirming, or if rather you're comparing the Trump transition 1.0 to the Trump transition 2.0, Mike, these names were ready to go. They had been vetted and they had been meeting with senators it was much different from the first go-around when it was, frankly, extremely chaotic. A lot of the people that Trump tapped to lead these cabinet agencies he did not know personally, and that is really what stemmed into a lot of the problems here. He couldn't feel like he could trust them. But now this is a whole different ball game, and these people were picked very early on in the transition, and it helps with a Republican-led Senate and a Republican House. If you have all the levers of government, that also works in your favor. And that was one of the other questions from the Senate side. You know, what were they going to give? Were they going to give president who just won the Electoral College and the popular vote everything he wanted with regard to his cabinet? And so I just thought that was really interesting here. Yes, there are more confirmations coming up. And we're going to cover them all here on Live Now. But it just goes to show you, with 30 days into this new administration, we got the reporting that just next week he's going to hold a full cabinet meeting of all of these cabinet positions that have already been confirmed. So much faster, much more streamlined in this Trump 2.0 with regard to who he is filling out these federal agencies with.
Yeah, so very true. Andrew, thanks so much for joining us on Live Now from Fox a little bit earlier than usual for you. You're going to be up later this evening, as always, bringing our viewers some great updates and headlines here on Live Now from Fox. We appreciate a great wealth of knowledge here on the big breaking news of this afternoon so far, as Kash Patel is now Senate confirmed, and you've been seeing there some of the instant reaction going on right now from senators and also House members as of the like here, and really the general public as well now, all coming and learning of the news that Kash Patel confirmed as FBI director. That final vote tally, 51-49. You have Speaker Mike Johnson also saying congratulations to Kash Patel on being confirmed as director of the FBI. Kash will end the radical weaponization of the agency and ensure it is working to protect Americans, not target them. Speaker Mike Johnson once again saying that one. So that is the big news this afternoon. You saw it all right here as it played out in real time on Live Now from Fox, everyone. So what we'll do is we'll take a 2-minute break. We're also keeping an eye on some different events that are happening across the country, like CPAC 2025. We'll check in there. We're also awaiting President Trump remarks at the Black History Month celebration that is happening at the White House in just a little bit. And then we are looking for some instant reaction as well from President Trump on this. Senate confirmed now, FBI Director Kash Patel. We are waiting for him to be sworn in as well. So you are watching Live Now from Fox, where we always try to bring you the very latest all right here. We'll take a 2-minute break. Be back with